think we're live.
Yeah. Okay. I just got the watch now button.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, hi everybody, and welcome to Friday's Only Murders in the Inbox with Erica and Rita, where we are talking about this month's book, Mrs. McGinty's Dead, by Agatha Christie, which is part of Christie Reads 2026 official Agatha Christie book list. Right? So we did last month, in case you missed it, January, we did The Body in the Library. This month, Mrs. McGinty's Dead.
Yeah.
Um, which, man, I'd kind of forgotten this book. I think I must have read it as a teenager and I forgot who the killer was.
Yeah,
So
like
then,
this is one where I know there is no way that I didn't see every David Suchet adaptation
right,
of Poirot. But
right.
I will tell you, I watched it yesterday and I
Uh,
said to myself, I've never seen this. Like it's nothing was ringing any bells to me at
right,
all.
I
And I'm like,
know.
but I know in
Right.
my heart that I have seen them all. I own the box set. Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
no way I didn't see them all.
Right.
But as I'm sitting there, I'm like, I have never seen this.
I
Like it was
know.
like I was watching it
It's
for the first
weird.
time.
Yeah, yeah, it's really weird. Like with the book and with the episode, I was just like, man, like I don't know, it's just very. And I've watched Poirot, I don't even know how many times, right?
Right.
The
Just
series,
over and over again. And I think
yeah, over and over.
it could be because it's
Right,
not one of the, I guess, popular ones. Like, there's always the
right, it's
one
true.
that everyone knows. And so this one is probably not even on most people's top 10.
Right,
So that's probably why we're just like, did we see
you do
this?
it. Like, what is this? Yeah, yeah,
Right, right. Okay, so you said we wanted to start with what it's about. So go ahead.
yeah, yeah.
That's your intro. Start with the intro.
Okay, yeah. So, Mrs. McGinty's dead. So, in this book, Poirot is approached by Superintendent Spence, who I think is retiring or he just retired or something. And
Yeah, he's actually he has a he's not I don't think he's retiring, but he's got another case because the one that
right,
they just did is done. Like as far as
right,
they're
right, right,
concerned, it's done, and he has to go off on another case, but he feels badly because now the time has come that the killer or
right.
supposed killer is going to be executed.
Execute.
Which, by the
Right.
way, before we even keep going, can I just say I am all for the death penalty. So the fact that back then these death penalties happened like overnight, I was like, man, that's fast. I mean, brother
That's
was
great.
convicted, found guilty, and like he's got 2 weeks and he's about to go meet the gallows. Like,
But this
whoa.
book is a good this book is a good argument against the death penalty because
Is it?
what if
Oh,
the
right. Because
person
what if he's okay? All right, all
what if
right.
the
Go
person
ahead.
isn't guilty? Like I don't know.
All
Anyway,
right, all right.
yeah, but yeah. So Spence goes to Poirot and says, "I think that we've got the wrong man. What do we do? He's about to be hung. Poirot, can you help me out?" Poirot's like, "Oh, I don't know," and he's like, "Oh, okay, no, I will." And
Yeah,
so
because he's doing nothing.
right,
Because when you look
right,
at the timeline is hard to follow
yeah,
with the Poirot books if you follow it based on when she published versus like
yeah,
you have to pay attention to the surroundings. And I think one of the things that's a key that he's quote unquote retired, Poirot
right,
is the
or
fact that he's got George. And
right,
George, as you know, is his manservant. And so
yeah,
when he had George, it really was just to have a manservant. He didn't have Hastings. He didn't
Hastings,
have
yeah,
Miss Lemon,
right,
so he
right,
wasn't working. He wasn't
right,
actively taking on cases. So
yeah,
he's working on his what on his marrows.
right,
He's always looking
right.
for some place to garden.
It's
Um
true, right,
but in this one, he's actually not off in the country. He is still at what's it called? Whitehaven.
yeah,
The name
something,
of the sky rise that he lives in. So he is
mhm.
still there with George. So it kind of gives you an idea that he's not curtain age yet, like he's not
Right.
that old,
He's not that old.
but he's now actively taking
Young, yeah,
on
yeah, yeah,
cases.
right,
But
right,
yeah, so Spence does come to him and say, I need your little gray cells essentially
right,
to figure out. And he says to him, "What if Bentley, who's the guy who's
yeah,
about to be hung, what if he's guilty?" And he says, "Then I will pull the lever
Right.
and do it myself
Yourself.
and
Right.
hang him
Right.
myself, but I just need to know because something doesn't feel right.
Right.
Um, and Poirot says, "Sure, whatever." He doesn't even question like where he has to go or what he has to do because he really is bored with nothing to do. But I'm sure in hindsight, when he
Hmm.
realized where he was going to have to stay,
Right.
he probably would have been like,
Yeah.
"You don't got a 5-star hotel for me? I
Right.
don't know, duh. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know."
This, despite the whole hanging thing, this is a much lighter, I would say, mystery for Poirot.
Mhm.
Because there are a lot of funny moments. Ariadne Oliver comes in like towards, I don't know, I guess the middle part of the
Yeah, I
book.
was just gonna
Yeah.
say, here's another one where and what's crazy is there's a theme for Read Christie
Uh-huh.
2026, right? And
Right.
so
Right.
when and I didn't even like I said, I didn't remember if I'd ever seen Mrs. McGinty, if I've ever read the book, but when I saw that it had to do with favorite, I think it's best character or
Right.
best other
Beloved
character,
character. Yeah. Yeah.
right? So immediately when I saw Mrs. McGinty's dead is Poirot, I knew immediately. I said, "Oh, this has to be Ariadne Oliver."
Right.
So as I start reading it, I'm like, she's showing up at chapter 1. No. Chapter
No.
2.
Right.
No. By chapter 8, I said to myself, maybe she's not the character that
Right,
like
right.
maybe there's someone
So
else.
I couldn't tell either. I was thinking beloved character, like maybe where he's at in life, and that's what they mean. Like I couldn't really tell. And then yeah, then once she popped in, I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
So,
I was
yeah,
really confused because I was like, okay, I don't know who the other favorite character is supposed to be if
right,
she's not here.
right.
Um okay, so um Miss
So he,
Oliver is there
yes,
because
yes,
she happens to bump into him in the town
right,
because she's her famous detective
right.
is being turned into a show on Broadway
Right, that's
essentially,
right. Yeah.
and the guy who's writing it happens to be one of the suspects,
Mhm.
who's writing this and is totally changing Sven to be someone that he's not
He's
in
not.
her books.
That's right.
And I think the best part, and I wish I had marked it, you might have marked it, I don't know,
Uh-huh.
is
Let
the
me think.
conversation that she has with Robin, kind of
Uh-huh.
as an aside, he's not paying attention to her, but
Right.
she literally says word for word what we know Agatha Christie has said about Hercule Poirot, which is,
Right. Right.
I wish I had never created him
Right.
because the fans love him
Right.
and how do I get rid of him from my life? And when I read that scene, I was like, when was this book published? Because this
Right.
woman
Right.
was hating him.
Yeah, she was
Like
hating him.
she
She was
literally wrote it.
hating him, but was she? Because then she wrote herself in as Ariadne Oliver. Like
I
she
feel
was
like
kind of,
that was her way to let the fans know, like, listen,
yeah, yeah,
listen to
like
me.
yeah.
The
And
man's got
then
to
in
go.
the show, and then in the show with David Suchet, like she's sitting there, she's like, "He's 60. He doesn't ski."
Right. Right. She's like,
Yeah,
because at one point there, and when she even says the thing about how she hates that she even created him was
yeah,
when she's arguing with Robin about the fact that he's a vegetarian, and he's
right,
like, he can't be, and she's like, I don't know why I made him a vegetarian. That's what
right,
writers do. You
right.
do something to a character,
Yeah,
the fans love it, and now
yeah,
it has to be a part of the character forever. Like I wish I had never even invented him, so that I
right,
don't have
right,
to adhere to these rules. I
right.
don't know why. Why does
And
he not ski? I don't know why he doesn't ski. Because he's 60 maybe, and a
right,
60-year-old
he's
man isn't
60,
skiing?
right, right.
And he's like, "We have to put sex in it. There has to be a
Yeah.
sexual tension between him and his assistant." I'm like, "Oh my god."
Yeah. It's like he wanted to turn him into James Bond or something.
Mhm.
Whereas, like, of course, Ariadne's character is actually like Poirot in
Correct.
those pretend books or whatever. So
Correct.
yeah. So there's comedy, like for people who haven't read the book, or maybe you just need a refresher. There's comedy in where Poirot is staying
Right.
because he enters into this is it a B and B? It kind of is, right?
It's supposed to be it's the biggest state in that town. Like, I
Right,
forget the name of
right.
the town, but even
Yeah,
at one point, a throwaway comment that someone makes is that, like, it's unfortunate that it's left in the hands of people who have no idea how to take care of this estate, this
Right.
big stately manor.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and so they can't, and because they can't afford the upkeep, they converted it to an
Uh-huh.
Airbnb, and they always talk about that they only have PGs in the house, and he's like PG
Yeah.
and paying guests. So when
Right.
he gets there, they're like, you have to pay like a week in
In
advance. Like
advance.
you have
Right.
to pay now. Um, so it so essentially, I have to try to dissect the
Hmm.
book versus the movie or
Yeah.
the
Right. That's
adaptation
true.
because they are very different. The
Right.
killer is the same,
Right.
and essentially the motive is the same.
Hmm.
Um, but there were some key changes. Like one of the first things because I watched it after I read the book. Obviously, that's how I
Yeah.
usually
That's
do it.
what I do too. I read the
And
book and
and
yeah.
then one of the first things that struck me, and I guess it's because they only had 90 minutes, what could they do?
Right.
Is they made it instead of 4 photos, it was 2. And
Right.
so to talk about the photos for a bit, so what happens is this woman, Mrs. McGinty, is a
Hmm.
char lady, which essentially is a cleaning lady. And she's a cleaning lady for all of these different families that are affluent in different ways. And she ends up getting killed with a sugar knife or
Yeah.
a
Sugar cane.
sugar axe, which I
It's
had
like
to
a
look
sugar
up.
cane. Like yeah.
I had to look at because like, what the fuck is a
Yeah.
sugar axe? Like I've never in my life, and I had to Google it,
Yeah.
because I hadn't seen the episode yet, the adaptation, so I didn't get to see it visually, so I had to Google it when I was reading it to find out what is this weapon.
Yeah.
Um,
You
but
know,
she's
the only reason that I knew what that was is because I grew up in the South and I've been to Jamaica. And yeah, that's the only reason I knew that. But that's such a unique tool. Like
it
that's such
is.
very,
It's
very
not something that most
specific.
households
Right.
would have.
It would even have. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And so she's killed with this, and this is a woman who doesn't believe in putting her money in the bank, et cetera, et cetera. So she has her money under a floorboard, and she happens to have a lodger in her house who is this guy who is not very personable. He can't hold down a job.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
like 2 weeks or 2 months behind on his rent at the time.
Yeah.
And so when she ends up killed and the money ends up hidden under some rock in front of the house, immediately he was considered the guilty culprit. At the time, they didn't even have the murder weapon, but they just
Right.
all
Right.
everything was against him apparently, and the case
Yeah.
was closed, and he was found guilty, and he
Yeah.
was going to hang. Um,
Right.
but when Poirot gets there and he starts
Mhm.
investigating, one of the first things he does is he goes to Mrs. McGinty's house to see where she died, and he looks through whatever was left of her because her
Right.
niece is now living there with her husband, and they got rid of all the furniture, but they kept some of the papers and things that she had. And what
Yeah.
even leads him to the house, I forget, is the ink. She went to the
Oh,
post
that's right.
office to buy ink, and
That's
he says
right.
the only reason you buy ink is to write a letter. Who is she writing to?
Right.
She wasn't writing to the niece, so he wanted to see if he could find some remnants of what or who she was writing to, and he ends up coming across a newspaper which has a cutout. And now he's got to find the newspaper to find out what was cut out. And what was cut
Mhm.
out was that it's a Sunday newspaper, which
Mhm.
essentially is like a tabloid
Right.
newspaper today, which is flashy and splashy. Like maybe 10% of it is true and the rest of it is
Right.
all made up, right?
Right. Which
And this
they admit that. Yeah.
right, they do admit that because essentially what the article was that she cut out in the book is there's these 4 women, and it's an expose on these 4 different women who happen to be either connected to or specifically the killer
Right.
of something. And
There's some
it was like a where are they now?
where are they?
Okay, so
Right.
right. And so there's I'm only going to mention the 2 that transferred over into the
The movie.
adaptation, which
Yeah.
is Eva Kane
Right.
and Lily Gamble.
Mhm.
So Eva Kane is she was a governess of this Craig family,
Mhm.
and it was believed that she was having an affair with the husband of the Craig family, and was pregnant by him, and so he killed his wife in order to be with the
Right.
governess.
Right.
He gets found, caught, he gets arrested, put in jail, and she goes and changes her name and moves to Australia and has the baby that she's pregnant with over there. So
Right.
the where are they now is
Right.
her daughter was born in Australia. So
Right.
and then the other one is Lily Gamble, who was like a 12-year-old girl who got
Hmm.
pissed when her aunt didn't let I mean, what is going on in this world? Who got pissed when her aunt wouldn't
I
let
know.
her go out. I think she wanted
So
to go to the
it's
movies
not
or
funny.
something.
It's
And
not funny.
so she got so mad, she
Right.
picked up
Right.
essentially another sugar hammer
Right.
that they happen to have in the house. You're telling me that households shouldn't have them. Well,
Right. I know.
Rita,
Right.
I hate to break it to you. Apparently, back then they all had them,
Yeah.
okay? Because she picked it up and she
Yeah.
slammed it on the back of her aunt's head multiple times. So clearly, if she did it then, she could have done it now, right?
That's right.
And so this is like a article that's like 20 years later or some nonsense. So that the math kind of adds up. And
Yeah.
so now that he sees this, he realizes like, oh, she must have seen
Right.
this exact picture
Right.
of these women in one of the houses that she was
Right.
cleaning.
That she's cleaning. That's
And
right.
so now he's gotta kinda go to each house, and he figures out there's several women there
Right.
who could be
Who could
either
be either
the
woman.
age
That's
of the baby that Eva Kane gave birth to in
right.
Australia, or they could
Right.
even be Lily Gamble grown up.
Right.
They could
Right.
be either one. And then there are, like, 1 or 2 older women who could be
Hmm.
Eva Kane
Who could be right.
herself.
Right. And then you're like, oh wait, there's like a
So
lot going on.
it kind of expands into who
It
is
does.
it. Um, and what ends up happening is I think halfway or more than halfway through, um, he goes to a dinner party where everyone's invited.
Hmm.
And this isn't the party where he explains the case. This is a different one. They always he's either at a dinner party where something happens or he's
Right.
at the end where
Oh, the
everyone's
dinner
there
party.
and he's going to do the case. So this is just a regular dinner party where
Yeah.
everyone was invited and it's essentially the Upwards. That's the name of the older woman who's in a wheelchair who her son Robin Upward
Right.
is writing the play for
For yeah. Ariadne.
Ariadne
Right. Right. Right.
for her
Yeah.
thing, right? And so they have this dinner party to invite everyone over. They're kind of celebrating this, that, whatever. All the suspects are there. And they're obviously talking about Poirot and the fact that he's here to solve this case. What's the case? What's the case? Give us something. So he gives them a clue. And the
Hmm.
clue that he gives them, which is great because he wants
Yeah.
everyone there to know why he's there and what
Is
he's up
there.
to,
Yeah.
is he slams the 4 pictures down on the table.
Hmm.
And he's looking at everyone's
Right.
reaction,
He's
right?
looking for
Who's
reaction.
reacting,
Right.
who's not reacting.
Yeah.
He
And
asks
and
them
what they say. Are they
right,
going to
and
flip up and say something that
right, and he asks them like, Have you seen this picture before?"
right? Have you seen it? Hmm.
The elderly Mrs. Upward says
Hmm.
that she has, because he can tell that she's
You can
clearly
tell. Yeah.
recognizes one of the pictures, and he says, "Which one do you recognize?" And she
Yeah.
points to Lily Gamble, the little girl.
Yeah.
But she won't tell him where she's seen it
Right.
because she's a woman who's like, "I'm gonna do what I want,
Right.
and I'm gonna do it in my time, my
Yeah.
way."
Yeah.
And he's pissed because he
Yeah.
feels that she's being stupid because he's
Because he
like,
was
the last woman who recognized one of those
right.
photos is dead.
Is dead. Right.
So if you just now in a room full of where one of them is the
One of
murderer
them is
just
dead.
admitted
Yeah. Yeah.
you recognize one of the pictures and you're not willing to say who that is right now,
Right. Then
chances are you're
yeah.
dead.
You're dead. You're the
And
next one. Yeah.
to make that long story short, she's dead.
Yeah.
She ends up getting murdered.
It's not funny, but it's funny for some reason. I don't know, the tone of the book, just in
Yeah,
general, from like especially once Ariadne throws the apple out of the car and bonks him on the head, and
right.
that's how they run into each other. Like just the tone of the book is pretty fun. So
Yeah.
um,
And the way that he comes to the conclusion of who the murderer is, this is one of those where if you were paying attention in the book specifically,
mhm.
you could have figured out what was going on here.
Yeah, yeah,
And so we can kind of get to the end because I think it was kind of ingenious where this is a man, Poirot, who can't stand mess. And he's
yeah.
living in a
That's
house where everything is a mess. The seats have
Right.
the springs coming through them. He can't even find the right chair. The
The
woman,
food,
the
the food
food
is
is
gross.
gross.
The food's disgusting.
Inedible.
Yeah.
When she cuts herself onto the thing, onto
Oh,
the beans
oh,
that they're gonna eat, and he's like, "I'm not gonna eat dinner
I know.
tonight. Never
So,
mind." I'm sure he
yeah.
lost a lot of weight staying there as long as he did,
Right.
because he didn't eat. Um, which always surprised me
Mhm.
immediately because when he's at the Upward House,
Yeah.
in my mind, I'm thinking, does this woman not have a house that she could house him in? Like,
Right.
why is he
Yeah.
staying
Like, why?
here and
Yeah.
not?
Yeah.
But anyway, that
Yeah.
kinda got me. I was like, "Really? The Upward House is the only place that he could have stayed in? Okay."
Mhm.
Maybe because no one else wanted him there because they knew why he was there and they weren't interested in
Yeah.
housing him
That
for whatever
that sounds
reason, whereas
like
the Upwards were desperate for money, so they were like, "Yeah, you can stay
right.
here."
Right.
But what happens is the lady of the house is looking for some paperwork for some pig on her property. I don't know.
Yeah.
And she takes this drawer out from a desk and she dumps everything out to find the paper and then she just leaves the mess on the desk. And
Mhm.
Poirot, being who he is, organizes it.
Mhm.
And then hours later, now she's looking for scissors. And she
Yeah.
comes back to that same drawer, pulls it out, dumps everything out,
Right.
and he has to come behind her and organize it again. And
Right.
in that brief period of
In
time,
that time.
what happens is Robin Upward can't stay at his house where his mother was just murdered. So
Right.
he's also now staying at this bed and breakfast with
Mhm.
Poirot.
Mhm.
And so
Oh,
when Poirot
wait, pause. So if you haven't read the book and you wanna read the book and you don't want
oh,
spoilers,
right,
now is the
right,
time, everybody. So
to
pause.
to mute, to mute
Yeah,
for something
mute, and then you know what? I'll go like this
when we're done with the
when we're
spoilers.
done with that part, and you and then you can turn the volume back.
Right, right.
That's how we're
Because
gonna
at
do.
this point, what I'm explaining to you is what Poirot is kind of explaining
Right.
to everyone because I think it's
Yeah.
pretty brilliant the way he
It
does
is.
it.
It
I'm
is.
gonna pivot to the adaptation because I liked
Yeah.
how he did it. It was very
Yeah.
clever. Where
It
he went
was.
to each woman, he started with each woman because in our
Mhm.
minds, it's one of these three women in our
There's
minds
3
who it
yeah.
could be. Now in the book, there's a couple extra women that are not in the adaptation.
Yeah.
And I actually was kind of annoyed that they removed one of them because I
Mhm.
liked that I'm jumping back, I'm jumping around a bit, but there's a woman
Yeah.
named Maude Williams
Yeah.
who knew Bentley, the guy who's on death
Right.
row,
Which that made
and
more sense, right? That
and
made, like, I don't know.
wanted to help him in any way that she could,
Right.
and in the book, what Poirot does is he finds out that I think it's the Rendels, I can't remember which family it was,
Yeah.
needed a maid and were,
Yeah.
like, desperate for a
Oh, that's
maid,
right.
and
Right, right.
he says, "I know someone who could come and be a
Mhm.
maid for you," and he goes to Maude Williams and says, "If you wanna help, I
Right.
need you to pretend to be a maid in this house and find out what's going on."
Right.
So she
Right.
does, right?
Mhm.
But in the adaptation, that doesn't happen. Like,
Mhm.
like, none of that happens because
Yeah.
they kinda merge her character with another character that was already there,
Right.
which is, this girl named, I forget what her first name was, but her last name was Henderson, and she was the daughter of one of the families, and
Right.
she's, like, this homely
They
girl.
suspected. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He thought she was Lily Gamble because
Right.
she was some homely girl who apparently didn't look very appealing, and the picture of Lily Gamble is an ugly-looking 12-year-old girl, and he's
Mhm.
trying to surmise with
Right.
Inspector
Who is
Spence,
yeah.
why do you keep a photo like this?
Right,
Like, you
right.
have a
Why
photo
would
of Eva
you have
Kane,
this
you have
right.
a photo of Lily Gamble.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
it's seen that someone is holding onto it and has it, why? Is
Why?
it for sentimental reasons? Is it
Right.
for revenge and hate
Right.
reasons? Like, what's the reasons you're keeping it? Especially Lily Gamble, where this girl is looking like a hot mess. Do you want it for memories to remind yourself
Right.
that you looked ugly then and you look
Right. Like, what is
better
it?
now? Like,
Yeah.
what is the reason?
Mhm.
Um, but what ends up happening is he goes to each of them. So he goes to this woman who used to be like a call girl, and now she's married to this guy who wants to be a politician. Was
Mhm.
she the killer? Because there was lipstick left on on a teacup at the
Right.
murder scene, and Ariadne Oliver said there was a strong odor.
Right, like
of like
perfume,
perfume odor,
right, down the
which
hall.
only
Right.
she wears. Carpenter. I can't remember. I
Yeah,
remember everyone's last name, their first names escape me.
yeah,
But
yeah, the
Mrs.
car.
Carpenter, and so clearly it must be her. But then
Mhm.
we realize it's not her.
Right.
And I forget what the reasoning is that discounted her from it.
Um,
I can't remember what it was, but we discover it's not her. And
right,
then we move on to the doctor's wife, who's like a nervous wreck,
right.
because she's getting these poison pen letters that are accusing her husband. Now, here's where the book and the movie
It do
shift as
yeah,
well,
yeah.
because in the book, the poison pen letters accuse him of um of assisted suicide, I believe,
Oh,
of
right.
doing assisted suicides for
I'd
patients.
actually kind of forgotten that part. That was like one
Right,
of
me
those things.
too. I forgot that
It
part. I
was
had
just
to
like a
look it
little
up to remind
side.
myself.
Yeah,
Right, it was a little aside thing.
yeah,
But then the the adaptation has it that he's actually giving stuff to her
right,
because she's a mental case.
right.
And so he's helping her medically in a way that's like unethical or something like that.
Unethical. Yeah, yeah.
And in both instances, which I think is another comedic moment, is the moment
Mhm.
where Poirot is almost killed, where he gets pushed, right? Because in
Right.
the book and in the movie, it's the same
It's the
family, but
same
it's the
thing,
different person.
which I'm glad
So
they kept it. I'm really
right,
glad
they
they
kept it
kept
the Rendels, they kept it in one, it was the husband, in the
it.
book, it's the husband, but in the movie, it's the wife who does
Yeah.
it in a
It's
state of disarray. But they but and then the one that's the big money maker is the weapon is found in the house of the place where he's staying, where Poirot is
right.
staying.
It's a
Um,
mess. The
the
place
Summer
is a
Hayes, that's
total
the
mess,
name. The Summer
chaotic.
Hayes house.
Yeah, yeah,
So he finds the murder weapon there.
yeah. Mhm.
When he's cleaning out the drawer the second time, he finds the photograph there, which, by the way, he surmises, and he's correct, that when the upward woman pointed to which photo she recognized,
Right.
she intentionally pointed to the wrong
Right.
one.
Yeah.
So she didn't recognize Lily Gamble. She actually recognized Eva Kane.
Eva King, yeah.
And so he realizes that, and he finds that photo in the drawer, and on the back of it, it says, "My mother."
My mother, right.
And at that dinner party, Mrs. Summerhays says, and has this whole big moment during when she's drunk about how she was adopted, and she read some story somewhere about how a person who's adopted is better off
Right.
with a well-off
With a
to-do
well-off
family.
or should they right. Or should
And
the birth
she
mother
says she disagreed because even though she was adopted by a well-off family, that
yeah,
she hurts and hurts still that her mother didn't keep her. And the
right.
question
Take
of
her.
why
Right,
will be with her forever. And
right.
in that moment, Robin makes a comment, Robin Upward, about how lucky she is, or
Mhm,
and actually they did change that as well. I noticed the language because in
mhm.
the book he turns to her, she turns, sorry, Mrs. Summerhays turns to Robin and says, "Isn't that true?"
Right.
As if he knows. He would know because he's in the
He would
same position
know because
she's
he's
in.
right, yeah.
And in the
Meaning adopt
adaptation,
right,
he just goes past her and says, like, "We should be so lucky," or something like that. So in
yeah.
both instances, he alludes to it, but you have to be, again, paying attention to
You have
catch
to be
something
paying
like
attention.
that.
Right.
And so clearly now this Mrs. Summerhays, who is adopted,
Mhm.
does that mean that her mother is Eva Kane?
Right,
And she, because we know that she's now deceased, so we assume that she's deceased. So was she adopted? And she came back here to avenge her mother's what
right,
happened to her mother, blah blah
right.
blah. But the clincher, she
Yeah.
doesn't wear lipstick.
Right. She
And
does
so, because she doesn't wear lipstick, it couldn't have been her that
right.
was in there and that did the murder. We discover, which I had to turn to my wife at this point because I was like, Evelyn Hope is
I
a
know,
boy's
I
name?
know.
Okay, the
No,
shoe that drops
why?
is we discover that the name of her daughter, of Eva
Right.
Kane's daughter,
Yeah.
is Evelyn Hope. That she
Right.
changes her last name to Hope from Eva Kane
Yeah.
to Eva Hope. And so it's like, okay, Evelyn Kane, so we're looking for a woman, and that's when Poirot is like, wait,
Hmm.
when she went to Australia, she was
Hmm.
with child. She
Right.
had the baby in
In
Australia. So
Australia.
we don't know what the gender of the baby was.
Right.
He goes to the newspaper and the person who wrote the article, and she says, "Nah,
Yeah.
we
Oh,
just
what?
sensationalize it. You just assume it's a girl, so we put
Right.
it's a girl."
Right.
And so you assume Evelyn Hope is a girl's name. Turns
Hmm.
out Evelyn Hope was a boy's name.
And so
And
Christie loves to do this because she did not to like spoil a different book for you, but she does this in another book where it's like the name playing on the name,
right.
a name for a woman that could be for a man, or a name for a man that could be for a woman. So
And it's like, can we
she likes
make it
that,
a little more gender neutral? Because
right?
I'm sorry, but I don't know
Oh, I
any
know. I
Evelyn
never in
boys.
my life.
Even in the early 19 or late
Yeah.
1800s, show me a book somewhere where someone was named
Yeah.
Evelyn and it was a boy. But
Right.
anyway,
Right.
so we discover that it's Robin Upward
Right.
is the killer. And unfortunately, it was because Mrs. McGinty was trying to blackmail him
Yeah.
when she discovered the picture in his room when she was cleaning their house.
Right.
We discover that the woman who was kind of pretending to be his mother, that he called Madre all the time, but it
Right.
wasn't a mother-son relationship. It was more of a, I'm an old woman who has money, you're a young man who needs money and is doting on me, and this is the relationship that we have. But they
Right.
moved to this town where everyone just assumed that was a mother and her son.
Right.
And
Right.
it just wasn't that way, but she recognized the picture, obviously, as probably at some point she saw it.
Right.
Um, and now she's realizing that this is the son of a woman who now everyone believes actually was the killer, and it
Right.
wasn't the husband. They believe that
Mhm.
Craig turned himself in and sacrificed himself for the woman that he loved so that she could
Right.
go off and be free.
Right.
Everyone, which is why she had to leave in the first place, not so much because she had an affair with a married man, but because there was rumors that she actually was the killer and he
Right.
wasn't. So she
He wasn't
fled to
right.
Australia, changed her name. Um, and then the last spoiler, which is the one that I forgot in the book, and
Mhm.
I forgot in the movie as well, and when it happened in the movie, I was like, I had to go back to the book to make sure, is that in the book? Because I don't remember that
Right.
being in the book. Is Maud Williams.
Oh,
Turns out
right.
to be because one of the things that Poirot brings up is Eva Kane was a governess, and the
Right.
only reason you have a governess is for
Mhm.
children. So that
Children.
means
Right.
the Craig family had children.
Right.
And no one ever questions if they could have been the
Right.
killers coming
Exactly.
back for any
Right.
reason.
Yeah.
It's just like, "Oh, yeah, they had children." And it turns out that Maude Williams is actually the daughter, and Eva Kane was her governess. And so she
Right.
goes back to the house because she wants to kill her, but she's already dead.
And you know
And
what?
so
I forgot
she
that part too. I kinda there were certain things about this
Right,
book that I kinda glossed over because I
right,
realized it was a red herring, but it was
right,
like
it was a
a
distraction.
fuzzy foggy red herring that I was just
Right.
like,
Which
I
is
don't
why
like,
when it came up and I was watching the
yeah.
adaptation, I had to keep going back to the book because I was
Yeah.
like, "Did
Me
I
too.
miss that part
Me
where
too.
she was the daughter of the what?"
Yeah, me too. Me too. And that was
Don't
crazy.
pay attention to those
Yeah.
things.
One thing I wanna mention while we're talking about spoilers still is I read recently when I was kind of researching this for our conversation today, I read that Agatha Christie, I mean, she was always interested in true crime, like real life murders and that sort of thing, right? But there was one case in particular that really fascinated her, the Croydon murders,
Okay.
where people were poisoned, right? And so that case fascinated her so much that she loosely based this whole thing about like reading the article in the, like sensational, like tabloid type newspaper on a Sunday,
Yeah.
reading that and thinking, oh, wait, what is this? And like, this is a clue. These photographs are clues. What could this mean? And if someone recognized them, then what might happen? So I
Mhm.
guess, like, that kinda triggered the idea of the story for her, and I guess it was printed, and then it was a short story novella, and then she expanded it into this book, which is Mrs. McGinty's Dead.
Mhm.
So, anyway, I just thought that that was interesting that, okay, she was kind of going off of a real case. Not the exact same thing, obviously, but I don't know. Oh,
Okay. So I'm looking at my notes because I did take some notes about like what was the difference from the movie to the book.
mhm.
Um, okay, yeah. So okay, what I did write this down. I wish I had looked at this. So the romantic interest for Bentley
Right.
in the book is this girl named Deidre Henderson, which he believes is might be Lily Gamble, and she's the daughter of this family called the Weatherbys. They are nowhere in the movie at
Right,
all,
right,
and they basically took her character and morphed her into Maud Williams. So Maud
right,
Williams became the romantic interest for him
right.
in the
In the
adaptation. But
adaptation, David
what's
Suchet.
crazy is in the book,
Mhm,
Poirot says to him when because he visits him several times in the prison, and at one point he says, you know,
mhm.
you have your friends are helping you, and Bentley's like, what friends? I have no friends. And he says Maud Williams, and he's
Uh,
like, oh, okay, Leah, I hung out with her and talked to her a few times, and
yeah.
and Poirot's pissed, which is crazy. I feel like every book that I read now with Poirot, it's amazing to me how often he wants to play a matchmaker.
I know, right?
He
Yeah,
plays it very often, and I'm like, "Wait, he's doing it again?" Like, I didn't realize, and now that I'm being forced to, like, read short
right,
stories with him in it and now longer stories with him in it,
yeah,
I'm noticing it's, like, almost in every single one, he's finding these
yeah.
pairings and putting them together. So much so that and I'm thinking about now the Sophie Hannah books that I'm also reading, is that's happening in there as well, where he's setting up couples
Yeah.
in at some point in the book, and I'm just like, "Okay, that's something that she picked up that
Mm,
clearly Agatha Christie did, and she's transferring that
right.
still with,
Still, yeah.
what he does as a person." Um, but he essentially gets mad at Bentley. He's like, Is it wrong for you to find a woman attractive and to talk to
Mhm.
her and, like, hang out with
Right.
her? Like, it's okay. You don't have to
Yeah.
be all coy about it." And what happens is in the book, he thinks Poirot thinks that it's going to be Bentley is gonna end up with Maud Williams, who's become this char lady herself to help him,
Mhm. Yeah.
become free, and it turns out that he finds Deidre Henderson attractive, which Poirot finds odd because she's such a homely girl. They describe her as homely as Lily Gamble, so they feel like she must be Lily Gamble because in the
Mhm.
book it's written that she's I think either that she's adopted or that her mother could be the mother of Lily Gamble, like where is she or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's believed that Deidre Henderson is Lily Gamble, and she's some, like, homely girl, but Poirot says, "Listen, if you like her, if you think she's cute, okay,
Right,
sure."
right,
The heart wants what the heart wants. Um, but yeah,
right.
I always find it interesting at the end when he
Mhm.
finds someone who is guilty of something, and he chooses to do nothing
Yeah.
about it, because at the in the adaptation, at the end, he knows that she was witnessed going to the house with a gun with the intention of killing this
Right.
woman who she thought
Who
was
she
Eva
thought.
Kane, who actually wasn't Eva
It
Kane, so
wasn't her, right.
thank goodness, but she
Yeah.
did intend to shoot this woman and kill her.
Mhm.
And she
Except
says, "Are
she was
you gonna turn me
yeah.
in?" And he says, "It's time for you to go now because out of the car that they're in, Bentley is being released from prison or the courthouse or whatever it is." And she
Mhm.
realizes, like, he's not going to do anything about the fact that she's guilty of attempted murder, essentially, and
Yeah.
to just go. And it doesn't happen often, but it does happen. And I feel like each time it happens, it's quite significant as to who the person is and why he chooses to do nothing
To the right.
eh,
Yeah.
and, like, just let it be.
Yeah.
And this is
Yeah.
one of those moments where that girl was guilty, but he just was like, You could leave." Because
Yeah.
technically, she doesn't have anyone else in her
Yeah.
life she wants to shoot, so,
Right.
I mean, when you
Right,
look
and
at it that way.
the woman she wants to shoot is dead.
Right,
So, yeah, so now that part, so yeah.
right.
yeah, it's interesting how he likes to play matchmaker or like hint around or subtly like push someone one way to another person or whatever. But he himself like comes across as asexual to me. I don't know if that's just like how I read it because of how focused
He
he is on his cases or something, but I just don't think it's him. Like, um,
I feel like
I don't know.
in many ways, he's very much similar to Sherlock Holmes, who
Yes, that's
has the woman.
the one.
He has a woman, right? And the woman that he has, he
That's true.
is one of the most significant let her go women in his
Yeah.
repertoire of cases that he solved, which is the thief, right? The woman who's a
Right.
thief. And his solution to his problem is you can keep being a thief,
Hmm.
but I'm going to send these two men to go with you on a train and take you out of this country and you go be a thief over there.
Over there. Right.
But she's the woman who gave him the lapel that he puts a little flower in all the
All
time
the time. Right.
because he loved her, the Countess. That was her name, the
The countess.
Countess.
That's
He
right.
loved the Countess. And in many ways, Sherlock Holmes had the woman
The woman.
who
Yeah.
bested him, who dressed up and tricked
Yeah.
him, and he was fooled, the first woman to ever fool him because he thinks
Right.
women are fools in many ways.
Right.
But that was the, essentially he loved her.
Hmm.
And so he let her get away with what she was gonna get away with. Um, but yeah, I think that that was it for him, and he didn't need, like, anything to satisfy that. Like, his
Yeah.
satisfaction is from solving cases,
That's right.
not from
That's right.
anything else.
Which I like. I like that. I mean, I'm not saying don't have a little bit of romance if you want to do that. If you want to insert that kind of thing into, or sexual tension or what, or romantic tension or whatever it is
Listen,
in
Robin
your
Upward,
story.
I hear you here trying to remake Sven and put some sexual tension in there. That's what you're doing,
Hey,
okay?
hey, it's like have fun. Have fun if you want to do that. But I don't know. I like it when they're focused on let's solve this.
Mhm.
I do. So,
And he knows what love is just because
yeah,
for the simple fact that he understands it, he sees it, and he intentionally sets people up,
right.
even if they're too knuckleheaded to set themselves up and realize that this is I mean, if not for him, I don't think Hastings would have ended up getting married when he did.
That's true. That's
Um,
true. Yeah.
he because he always felt that Hastings was jumping into bed with the wrong women and
Yeah.
finding the wrong women, and so he had to, help him to his own detriment because then Hastings goes off to be a husband, and
Yeah.
he can't, live with him in the apartment and help him solve cases anymore.
Yeah.
And
And wah, wah.
that's yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay, wait, so are we done talking
yeah,
spoilers?
you want to do
Okay.
the okay.
Cut, 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 cut. Rejoin
Um
us if you haven't read if you haven't read the book or have seen the show.
So a few things that I looked up about this that's more like just stuff that I find fascinating
Mhm.
is when this book came to the United States, it came here in the form of a serial. I love that all these old books were serialized first, like, that was the in
Yeah.
thing, and I love that I hope that serialization is making a comeback.
Yeah.
But in the US, this novel was serialized in the Chicago Tribune in its Sunday edition in 13 parts from October 7th to December 30th in 1951, but it was
Mhm.
under the title of Blood Will Tell.
Right. That's right.
So I looked that up. And then something else that I looked up is very loosely. I mean, so loosely, I don't even know if I believe this, but
Mhm.
they're claiming that the novel was adapted by MGM in
Right.
1964
I
as
thought that
Murder Most
too. I
Foul.
also don't think because it's
I
so
mean,
different.
first of all, they're saying that instead of Poirot, it was Miss Marple.
Yeah.
And instead of it taking place after the trial, this
Right.
one takes place during the trial, where she
Yeah.
happens to be a juror.
Yeah.
None of the names are the same. None of the nothing is the same. What's
Yeah.
the same? So I don't know if I believe that.
Yeah. Me either.
Um,
Me either. I know exactly what you're talking about.
but there are claims to that effect, which, if that's true, shame on everyone who was a part of that MGM adaptation, because just come up with your own damn story and tell
I
it.
know.
You didn't need to change Poirot to Miss Marple, and
No.
I hate when they do
I
that, when they take
hate
Miss
it.
Marple app and
Oh my
Miss
god.
Marple out, and they
That is
do
such
the
a pet peeve. I absolutely hate it when they do
if you're
that.
gonna do an adaptation, can you do it to the letter, or do
Yeah.
you have to change it? Which, speaking of adaptations and doing it to the letter, let's spend a little time talking about March, because March is gonna be a rough one.
Amazing. Listen,
I still
March,
don't know how I'm
March
gonna do it.
listen, March and April. So the next two books that we're about to read in Christie Reads 2026, these are two of my favorite books.
Are they? Okay,
Favorite
the April
books.
one I've never read, and I
Two of my
almost
favorite
purchased it
books, not
today.
even mysteries, but like
Yeah.
books, like of all the books. Like I love these two books. I can't even tell you how many times I've read the Miss Marple one. A Caribbean Mystery, like that's a great book. And
Yeah, I
Murder
still
on the
have
Orient
to buy that one.
Express.
I don't own any
Yeah.
Miss Marple. So every Miss Marple that we're reading here, I'm buying it for
Uh-huh.
the first time.
Oh, good.
So I
Yeah.
have my Mrs. McGinty here, and I need
Yeah.
to now buy a Caribbean Mystery,
Yeah.
because I don't have that. But I wanted to let me show you this that I did today, because I was on Instagram and I noticed a lot of people did this, and I was like, I can do this because I have a laminator.
Mhm.
So
Oh, I love it. Oh, I love
so I did
it.
the thing where I typed up all the ones so
Yeah.
I can just check the box as we read each one,
Yeah.
so I can see
Oh,
easily right here, what's coming up next, and all the things. So I will say that I have March and June of all things ready to go.
right,
I
right,
had to do June. I had to skip ahead to June because it happens to be the murder of Roger Ackroyd, which happens
right.
to be in the public domain. So I wanted to do something very different, where I'm actually going to release each chapter one at a time every single day for the month of June. So we
Oh, no,
can read the book literally
yeah.
together. I'm going to, because
Oh
we
my God,
can,
I
because
love
it's
it.
in the public domain. So you can
Yeah.
read it for free everywhere.
Yeah.
But
So
anyway, jumping,
I'll link to you like every time yeah, and then we'll be like, hey, if you want to join us for this, head on over.
there's no reason why you can't read it if you don't own it.
That's
It's in
right.
the public domain. You can get it for free.
Yeah, I love
So March is Murder on the Orient Express. And I think after all the research that I've done, you can correct me if I'm wrong,
mhm.
it has the most editions
Yes.
published
Yeah,
and
yes.
probably the most adaptations done of
Yes.
any Agatha Christie
It
that's
is.
out there,
Yep.
I believe.
Sure. For sure it is.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that. I don't
Yeah.
know that to be factually true, but I believe that
Yeah.
it is, simply because I have three different versions of the book.
Hmm.
Um, I will be reading two versions. I'm gonna read the normal, and I'm reading the collector's edition just because I'm
Yeah.
like, if I have it, I might as well read it from this one.
Right.
But I
Love it.
do have the normal one that kind of looks like this. Like I have
Mhm.
that one, but
Yeah, me
it's so
too.
basic. And then I'm gonna read the graphic novel, which I
Me too.
also have.
Me too. I got
So,
so we could do that together. And
and
so
I
we discussed that together. I thought that would be so fun.
and I looked because I was like, is it possible that the graphic novel is very different from the novel? So I did look, and
Mhm.
they're matching it chapter for chapter, part for part. It's in three parts. Part one
Mhm.
is like 8 chapters, part two is the biggest at 15 chapters, and I think part three is 9. And I looked, and it's dissected that same way. So I'm assuming that
Yeah.
if I were to read chapter one of the book, I
Yeah.
can put it
But
down and
right.
read chapter
Read the
1 of the graphic novel and see it visually what I just read,
yeah.
and that's what I'm gonna do,
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do
which
it. Let's do
because
it. Keep finding
initially, I was gonna
yeah.
read this, and then I was gonna read the other one, but then I'm like, they're both the same length, like, they're both
Right.
almost 275 pages. I don't
Right.
know if I could do that in 31 days. I think the better way for me is to kind of be like, "Okay, I'm gonna read 2 chapters from this, and then 2 chapters from that, and then the next
Yeah.
day 2." Something to that effect is how
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, so you know what? And I wanna make sure to add this on to anyone watching, like, so I have a hard time concentrating because I have long COVID. So sometimes I'll find myself, I know I mentioned this last time, I'll listen to the audiobook and then I'll either read it along with it or I'll read it again just to kind of like bring it back, which is why I'm so happy you remembered all these insane details of this novel. Because I had forgotten, truthfully, like, a lot of what you said, like, these little side things in Mrs. McGinty's head. I'm like, "Wait, did that oh, right, she's right. Oh my gosh." Right,
Yeah.
names there anyway, so the point of that is, if you wanna just read the graphic novel, if you wanna read just the book, or maybe you read the book forever ago and you just wanna join the conversation, or you wanna listen to it on audiobook or however you wanna, like, enjoy the story, always know, like, I'm not a purist. I'm not a like murder mystery purist, that kind of thing. Like I say, enjoy it any way that you want to enjoy it, and then, come along with us and let's
Mm.
talk about it, and
Yeah,
let's
I
have a
am
good time.
I'm working on I'm doing something different than I did for January and for February, in that
Uh-huh.
I'm actually doing a kickoff intro post
Uh-huh.
for March because it is a lot. Like, if you listen
Yeah.
to what I'm describing to you, so I'm gonna read 2 versions of the book, right? I'm gonna read the
Right.
novel and the
Right.
graphic
A lot.
novel.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are 4 adaptations that I'm going to watch, and
Yeah.
I was trying to
That's
think to
a lot.
myself do I want to take the final week of March and watch an hour and a half movie one day, a 2-hour movie the next day, the
Yeah.
other hour and a half movie, and then the other 2-hour and 15 movie in 4 days in a row? As much as I love every single one of these actors, no,
Mhm.
because I think that would be too much.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do something that's drastically different that people most likely won't wanna do, but because I've seen this a million times, I've read it so many times,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be watching it with different eyes. Normally, like with
Yeah.
Mrs. McGinty, I had to read it and watch it with the eyes of a person who's never read and watched
Right.
it.
Right.
This one, I'm gonna be reading and watching from an analytical
Analytical.
standpoint,
Yeah.
the little nuances of what was different in
Mhm.
each one. So
Yeah.
I am going to do one a week. So
Mhm.
every Monday in the month of March, I'm going to start my Monday by watching one of the adaptations.
I
And
love
I'm
it.
gonna
Yeah.
watch it in the order that it was released.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
obviously the first one is probably I mean, I haven't seen the Alfred Molina one, so I can't say yet, but I will say I'm not gonna enjoy the Albert Finney version. As
Yeah.
much as I love Albert Finney, love
Yeah.
him. Scrooge is my favorite version of Scrooge and
Right.
musical of all time.
Yeah.
Love him. But am I gonna
Yeah. No.
Anyway, I'm gonna start with that one. I think it's 1976. Then I'm gonna move on to Alfred Molina, which I found on YouTube. So I was hoping I wouldn't need to watch that one because I was like, that one is nowhere to be found. And I
Right.
stupidly
And then you
did a
found
search at
it.
YouTube and I found it, and I was like, well, damn it, now I have to watch it.
Yeah.
Um, and then it'll be David Suchet version, which I think is gonna be the best one, hands
Mhm.
down. It still gives me chills the very ending
Yeah.
of that version.
It's
And
a
then I'll
time.
watch um and then I'll watch the Kenneth Branagh and his stupid ass mustache.
I
But
know.
that's
Drives me crazy. Oh, it drives
him
me crazy.
him and the other one. Who's the guy, the bald-headed guy who
Um.
plays Poirot, who also played, I think, Gandhi. Did he play Gandhi? Oh my god, what is his
Oh.
name?
Um.
Who? Because he has a stupid mustache too where it comes out to, like, here.
Oh
He
yeah.
doesn't have it wrap around his freaking ear, but, like,
I don't
why
know.
do these guys have to play these Poirots looking stupid? Like,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
understand. I
Yeah.
love
So like,
Kenneth
you know,
Branagh, but
yeah. For anyone who hasn't watched any of the adaptations, Eric and I both like clearly think the David Suchet
are the best.
version.
Like, he's
Yeah.
the
If you're only
only
watch one, and watch the
right,
David Suchet. Yeah.
right, and he as far as I know, he's done them all. Like, I think
He
he's the only one
every
who's
single
done every single one.
yeah, she ever any part
So,
of
you
her.
don't even need to bother with anybody else because
Yeah.
if there's a book of Poirot and you wanna see the adaptation, just find the, um David Suchet, and if you have BritBox or Acorn TV, you have access to them, and I think some of them might even be on Prime, Amazon Prime, some
Yeah.
of the seasons. I don't think all of the seasons are there, and
Mhm.
it'll be with commercials, but you'll be able to find them somewhere.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, in the UK right now, if you're watching this and you're in the UK, Netflix UK just added all Poirot, the whole collection to their catalog. So if you're over there, then that's really nice. You have
right.
access there. So
And then another way that I'm gonna do this, and you just reminded me that I could do this and my brain didn't compute. I did just borrow from the Libby app the audio version of Murder on the Orient Express. So you
yeah,
just made me realize that
yeah,
while I'm reading probably the novel, at the same time, I could be
mhm.
listening
Yeah. I
and
love doing.
following along and do it that way.
Really love
So
doing that.
I could be consuming this 3 different ways simultaneously.
We are all in. The two of us are all into this
Literally.
for this year.
So that's going to be an interesting. So March is just going to be crazy because I'm going to have all of these different ways in which to absorb Murder on the Orient Express, which personally I think is her best Poirot. I know she liked the murder of Roger Ackroyd, didn't care
Yeah,
for it. We'll get to that when we get to it in
yeah.
June. It's unfortunate it's my birthday month and I have to read the book I don't like. Uh, it's unfortunate they put that for June. Um, but I just love Murder on the Orient Express.
Mhm.
Um, much in the same way I love Witness for the Prosecution, which is a stage play that she wrote, which I love. And then I also love And Then There Were None. So those are like my trifecta. But like I said, I haven't read Miss Marple, so this is my first year
Mhm.
where I'm kind of ingratiating myself on reading Miss
Mhm.
Marple. And I've read more Tommy and Tuppence than I have Miss Marple, which is
Really?
crazy to
Oh
think.
my
Yeah.
gosh, that
Which is
blows.
crazy to think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just never got into Miss Marple.
Well, you
Um,
know
ho
what? Miss Marple is my favorite kind of detective. One, because she's a woman. Two, because she's elderly. I think that women of a certain age, as investigators, as amateur detectives, is just so fun. I just love those as protagonists. Like the brand new Vera series by Jesse Q. Sutanto. I love, love, love that character.
how do
They
you feel, speaking of Miss Marple, how do you feel about who was asked by the estate to do Miss Marple
um
books, to release
wait
Miss
a
Marple
minute.
books? I think is it Lee Childs? No,
Oh,
I said that too quickly. It's
yeah,
not Lee Childs, it's someone
no.
else. I just recently
Oh,
put
Lucy
it.
Foley. Is it?
Yes, that's
Oh,
Lucy Foley, yeah.
okay. So I have,
Because let me tell you
yeah,
a short story about this, okay? So I went
yeah,
to Barnes& and Noble a few weeks
mhm,
ago
yeah,
because I wanted to purchase, because I've been listening to the audiobooks of Sophie Hannah's Hercule
yeah,
Poirot. And so I
yeah,
wanted to see if I could buy them because I only have the first one. And I was like, I want the whole set, even though I'm probably not going to read them. I want to
mhm,
just own the books. And so I went to the library and I asked one of the people there at the library to help me find it. And we ended up because I didn't know that the estate had asked someone to write Miss Marple stories, but
yeah. No, me
I
either.
know of the Marple collection that came out, which I
Right,
own. I
right.
haven't read it, but I own it, and I know all the drama around it because one of the women who wrote in there, she tried to say that she's the queen of mystery, and people got very upset with her. I can't remember her name, but I
Right.
know all the drama behind it. But apparently, Lucy Foley wrote a short story, Miss
Yeah.
Marple. And
She
so
did.
here comes this woman who works there, and she's like, "How do you feel about Lucy Foley writing
Mhm,
next Miss Marple that the estate asked her to do it?" And I was like, "Well, I don't really know her work." And she said, "Well,
mhm.
she's written a short story in there, and I'll tell you, it's the worst one of the collection." And I was like, "Okay."
Listen,
So
listen,
I'm gonna ask you. I'm assuming you read the
listen.
collection.
Okay.
You may know
So
Lucy Foley.
I'll tell you one story about Lucy Foley, right? So I was listening to, um, was it The Hunting Party, or maybe it was a different one. Oh, I don't remember. But I was listening to one on audiobook, and one of my teenagers came into the room, and like it was like the worst written paragraph of any like audiobook type read. And it wasn't the narrator. It wasn't the narrator. The narrator was fine. And
Mhm.
my kid like made such a face at me. I was like, "Why are you listening to this?" And I'm like, "You're right." I'm like, "I don't know what is going on with this writer and this story and this mystery." And honestly, I didn't finish it. I didn't finish it. I just didn't think it was very good. And I also have the Miss Marple short stories. I also don't think that the short stories are that great, but I mean, I also am holding every single writer in there to a really high caliber. I mean,
Right.
like a maybe an impossible standard. So I don't know that it's really
So basically, you agree, Lucy Foley
I
should
do
not have been
agree.
asked.
Yeah. But a lot of people love her. A lot of people love her.
Well, I looked
My
up
close
I
friends
did a
love
cursory look of, like, what she's known for because I'm like, I don't even
her.
recognize
Yeah.
the name. I was confusing her with Lucy, Worsley, who's the huge Agatha Christie, like, and she loves Agatha Christie and Sherlock Holmes, and she does all of these, like, documentaries and things about
Oh, yeah.
them.
Oh, yeah, yeah, the blondes. Yeah,
That
yeah.
right, that's who I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
so when she said, like, Lucy
So you
Foley and it
thought it was her.
sucked, I thought it was her, and I was like,
Yeah.
"They asked wow, I
Her?
didn't know that
Yeah.
she writes novels, like, that's a thing," and so when I looked her up, I don't know any of her past works, Lucy Foley,
Mhm.
that would first of all, that would have triggered anyone to have asked her to write a short story, let alone to have asked her to write
Yeah.
for the estate, like, I don't know that her work lends itself to a Miss Marple mystery.
Right. Right. Well, and see, so you know what? So I should clarify because I know that I'm going to think back about this and feel really bad. Like, oh my gosh, was I bad mouthing author to such a degree? Why would I do that? Why would I say that? So I should just say, a lot of writers, even that I cover in Only Murders in the Inbox, I don't necessarily like their style or certain characters or whatever, but I acknowledge that they're good for what that is. And a lot of people love those kinds of mysteries. Not necessarily, I'm not even necessarily talking about Lucy Foley, although that's like what has led me down this road. I mean, like in general, everyone has a variety of tastes. Everyone has,
Right,
something that they enjoy more than the other, right? Something that you prefer. And so, I will cover a whole wide range of mysteries, even if it's not something that necessarily is my all-time favorite thing ever, right? I mean, I've covered Lucy Foley in Only Murders in the Inbox. So it's not about that. It's more like if I have a stack of books and I get to pick an author, she's just not the first author I would pick. And she's definitely I don't know. I can't picture, but you know what? I can't picture anyone writing Miss Marple and
right,
can't really picture
and
anyone.
I wonder if the estate did you know, I don't think they need the money, so are they doing it because they think that's what the fans want?
Yeah,
If
why
the fans are probably saying,
money?
"You're giving
Money.
us Poirot, why aren't you giving us Miss Marple?"
Yeah, yeah,
And they did the 12 short stories and the fans were like, "That's not enough." To me, it made sense to do the 12 short stories because
yeah.
there's more short story Miss Marple
That's true.
than novels.
That's right. Full length. That's right.
So why not, if you're gonna do Miss Marple, do short
Mhm,
stories and let a bunch of people I mean, if they were just gonna pick any old person, why didn't they just do a huge vote with all the fans and say, "We
mhm.
picked these 12 authors, we wanna invite one of them to write a novel, and we're gonna let put it in the hands of the fans and let them decide which of
Yeah.
the 12 was the best, and we'll, give them a formal invitation and say, 'Hey, would you like to the opportunity to write a longer piece?'"
Mhm,
'Cause I don't know the Miss Marple lore, so I don't know if it's as in-depth as Poirot in that, Sophie Hannah is going out of her way to not use anyone other than Poirot in
mhm.
her books. I
Yeah.
mean, in the one that I'm listening to right now, I was shooketh when I saw she used the name George. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
"Whoa, whoa, flash from the past." I mean, she'll say Hastings, like, she'll mention him in passing that
Mhm,
he's off married somewhere and stuff, but
mhm,
this was like he called George to get something from him, and I was just like, "Whoa, he's like
mhm.
an active mentioned participant," and,
Yeah.
she's not normally she says she would not do that just because she doesn't want it's bad enough she has to try to write Poirot, she doesn't wanna mess up any other beloved characters. Like, I know we're
Mm,
not gonna get Ariadne Oliver in any
right.
of this, like, we're not gonna get any of that, and I will say, I have tried to read Sophie Hannah's
Mhm.
Hercule Poirot, I think I told you.
Yeah, you
Couldn't
did.
get through it,
Yeah,
but man, the audiobooks are just
really.
hooking
No,
me,
I
and I think it's
tried.
the
I'm
reader,
gonna
the
have to.
narrator is
Yep.
just, like, getting
I
me.
also couldn't get into hers. I don't know, I just couldn't, and once again, you know, you might read them someone listening, you might read them and love them, you
Right.
might like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing." It's just something about it for me personally, and will I cover Sophie Hannah in Only Murders in the Inbox? Absolutely, I will. So, that's just something to know about me and about, books I cover and any entertainment that I cover.
Mhm.
because I know everyone wants to know what's out there, everything
Right.
that's there.
And you know me, I'm constantly every time I see something, I'm like putting it up on Substack notes. I'm like, "Yes, we're getting another book by this
I
person.
love
Yes, we're getting another this."
I love that.
I'm like,
I feel you and I are like, I feel like sometimes I write something, I'm like, am I writing this note for my readers, or do I just want Erica to comment on this?
I'm
Sometimes
looking
I'm like,
at
okay, well, I
I'm
hope she
constantly because I only follow certain people. I only follow what I like or who I like, right?
yeah,
So unless I'm following you, and because
mhm,
I don't read Miss Marple and I don't read Lucy Foley, and I'm not in
mhm,
that realm, I'm not gonna get an email of anything that's gonna tell me that this Lucy Foley book is coming out in September. But this woman at the Barnes& and Noble told me, and I was
mhm.
like, I went home and I immediately looked it up and I immediately, flagged it. So I might get it when it comes out in
Yeah.
September.
I mean,
I wanna see what the cover looks like personally.
yeah. I guess I'm gonna have to read it, but you know what? I'll keep my expectations like low to mid, and then we'll just see where it goes. Like,
So before we got going, we were kind of talking. You mentioned briefly about short stories. So just so
mhm,
everyone knows, I also am aside from everything that I just outlined for you that I'm going to do
which is a
specifically
lot,
for
by the way.
Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah.
Is I am reading short stories at the same time, and I
Mhm.
try to um because I bought this collection, I feel like I bought this collection. It's sectioned off by the seasons, so
Yeah.
each story in the book is going to take place in that season. And who knew that Agatha Christie wrote 48 short stories, and 12 of them happen to take place in a specific season over time. I
Yeah.
don't know how someone
Right.
came up with
I
that.
realized this. I didn't like
I didn't.
lump
So
them
I
together.
right now I'm in Sinister Spring. So I'm reading the stories and I'm reading them in order. So
Yeah.
I've already read the first two from here because it
Mhm.
happened to coincide with February. But I'm gonna now be reading, one a week from here. And just so you know, I
Mhm.
came into a bit of money today.
Oh,
So
yeah.
so what did I buy?
What did you buy? Oh my gosh, what did you buy?
Okay, so first of all, I bought the Hercule Poirot 2026 calendar.
Oh, nice.
'Cause
Nice.
why not?
Yeah.
I also bought the Hercule Poirot specific is it the Poirot specific? Yeah, puzzle book, because I didn't
Oh,
realize there were
nice. Oh,
2. There's one that's Agatha Christie, but then there's one that's Poirot, and I was like, "Oh,
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
have that one."
I
So
don't
I
have
bought that one.
to know about that one.
Um, and then I bought the box set of the Country Christie and Capital Christie that we
Oh,
happen
right.
to be talking
Them
about. And I
definitely.
said to you, I was like, if I get money, I'll buy it. And if I do,
Mhm.
then in 2027, next year, I'll
Yeah.
read one short story a month
I love
from each of the books. Because there's
yeah.
12, I think there's 12, like these, there's 12 short stories in each. I don't
Mhm.
know if there's any crossover. I feel like
Mhm.
there might be just because it's based on location. So
Yeah.
Capital Christie is stories that take place in London, and
Mhm.
then Country Christie are stories that take place in Devonshire. So it's very possible that some of those 24 stories are going to cross with the seasons. I don't know because I don't know specifically how many short stories she's written. I do want to buy the Miss Marple short story collection because I have the Poirot one. So I know that there are
Yeah.
56 short stories that she wrote where Poirot is in it because I have that collection. And
Right.
I know that they did a similar one for Miss Marple where they're all in one book. Every
Yeah.
time I go to a bookstore, it's there, and I want to grab it, and I don't. So I
Mhm.
think I do eventually, but we'll see. But I think next year, if I do the thing where I'm going to do the Capital Christie and Country one, I won't do the seasons. I'm
Yeah.
not like, especially if there is some crossover, it would be
Yeah.
ridiculous for me to try. It's too much. So I'm gonna have to cut back. I'm already planning into 2027. I have
I
problems.
love this. I love
Um,
it about you.
I'm
I love
already
it. I'm excited.
I'm already in 2027. Let me scale it back. So just so everyone knows,
Right.
March 27th, we'll be
Yeah.
back again to discuss Murder on the Orient Express. That one will probably need to be a long one just because
Yeah.
I'm envisioning which ones that we read will be long. I feel like Murder on the Orient Express, just because of the breadth of the number of suspects,
Yeah.
it's gonna be huge.
That's gonna be. I
And then I
mean,
think
being
and then There Were
a
None will be
two-parter.
another
I don't.
one.
Yeah.
Right, right. We might have to cut out all the superfluous conversation and literally
Yeah.
just talk about the book
Just only talk
when
about
we do that.
yeah.
Um, so that'll be exciting. And on another like totally out there note, I am working on my own mystery series, as you
Yay.
know.
That's great.
And just to give like a brief update on that, I'm releasing short snippets on each character. And it's funny that we just read, I feel like every time just read something, the way that I'm going with my idea steers towards what I've just read. So
Yeah.
it's like, I want it to take place in a small village and I want to have a murder here and a murder there. Um, but the second book, I haven't even written the first one yet.
Mhm.
But I will guarantee you the second book is going to be on a train because
Yes. I love
and I
I
think I've
do love
mentioned this before, I
mhm.
wanna take "And Then There Were None"
Uh-huh.
and put it on a train. Like, I
Ah,
wanted to because to me, they're
that's a
both
great
one in
idea.
the same book,
Yeah.
but it's just that, if you took Poirot and put him in, "And Then There Were None," what
Yeah.
would happen? If he was
What
there
happened?
trying to solve for the killer, like,
Mhm.
there really isn't anyone solving for the killer, I feel, and Then There Were None, like, what would happen if you took him and you put him in a house and
Right.
tried to, like, get him to solve the case? So, I'm working on that, I'm sharing that on Ink After Dark in the chat. I was supposed to have shared a character, profile yesterday, and I didn't, so I'm probably gonna share 2 today, but, like, I've got all the characters, I've got the location, I've got a map.
Well, it's
Mine
great.
what I'm
The math
working on.
important. The math so I'm also writing a series, and like you, I've planned ahead. Like, listen, I'm crazy. I've planned 10 books. I know exactly what I wanna do, and I also, in my mind this is also for television, so I'm writing 10 episodes
Right.
for those books, so adaptations for those. And then, but I'm not publishing it anywhere because I'm still kinda trying to get a feel of, like, what I'm doing. So, I'm, like, 2/3 of the way through it, but oh my gosh, I don't know.
Do you have a name? Have you ever shared what the name of your mystery series is, or are you keeping that on lock?
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna wait because I'm
Okay.
kinda
I'll ask you in DMs, I'll make you tell me.
okay.
Um,
Yeah, oh, you. I'll tell you. Everybody else, you're gonna have to stick with us for a while if you really wanna know all this stuff, so
right, you're gonna have to wait for it to
yeah,
be actually published. Okay.
yeah.
But yeah, so I'm working on that on the side, and what's coming up next for you on what's
Yeah,
next in your docket? Because you usually I don't know if you have a set schedule per se, because sometimes
yeah,
it's like, oh, she just released an
mhm,
email. Let me go look at it. Like
right,
so I don't know if it's like
yeah,
whenever you have something to share, you share, or
mhm.
is there actually a set schedule and
I
I'm
know,
just not paying attention to it?
yeah, and so when I did my Only Murders in the Inbox survey, I asked everybody like, "Okay," and they're like, "Well, maybe you should have a set schedule." And so, it's funny because I do publish at least once a week, usually twice a week. And then if something comes up that I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you need to know about this. This is coming out in 3 weeks or whatever." Then I'll send out a special thing where I'm like, "Okay, yeah, you gotta watch, How to Get to Heaven from Belfast. You just gotta watch that. Here's this release. Here's this info," right? And it's very short or whatever, almost like a press release kind of a thing, but just like a snippet, a small review, and like, here you go, if it's your thing or not, right?
Mhm.
Um, and like I've said before, I don't consider myself a critic. I consider myself a curator, and I'm not trying to dissect murder mysteries in a way where I feel like, let me tell you what this writer is doing right. Let me tell you what he's doing wrong. No, that's not my thing. I like curating mysteries. Like if you love Mysteries on a Train, for example, like there's an edition of Only Murders where you could go through and find mysteries on a train that you might love, right? So I like doing that kind of thing. I don't really like criticizing writers in that way, but I like compiling and drawing themes and especially like focusing on different types of tropes and that sort of thing. So, and genres, subgenres within mystery, right? So I have The Great British Detective. I've been working on that. I don't even know how long, forever and ever and ever. I'm actually putting together something about Nigerian murder mysteries because Nigeria has a murder mystery community, and they're actually one of my largest subscribers. And so I'm actually talking to a mystery writer from Nigeria, and hopefully maybe I'll have an interview or something like that. But I'm definitely going to include their work. So and then
Yeah,
also,
I always have because I see that you do those like top 5 or top 15 or top 10 and
uh
I follow so many people who do these top something and I
yeah,
always want to do that. Like I always want to have like a top 5 or something, but I always feel like I don't have enough material to
uh
pull from. So
yeah,
I have so many things sitting in my draft that I
yeah, oh
just
yeah.
will never
I have
publish.
I have 18 drafts right now, Erica.
Yeah, and I look at it and it's like, "Oh, well, can I publish it now?" But I feel like
Right.
because I'm putting out, these things about mystery specifically under a section that's for paid subscribers only, I
Yeah.
feel a bit more footloose and fancy free where I'm like, "I could just push this out," and I know that only, like, 4 people are gonna get this email, so
Right.
I'm not stressing about it. And so I might actually push out some of these things because 'cause they've been just sitting there for years. Like, I
Mhm.
and the type of mysteries that I like are sure, Poirot and
Mhm.
Sherlock Holmes, but I also love like if I could only pick one series that I could only watch forever and ever, it would be
Mhm.
The Closer.
Oh, we talked about this last time, and I was so surprised. I love that show. That's a great
I
show.
still watch it right now.
Yeah.
It's on Pluto TV, so that
Yeah.
it rotates constantly on a channel
Uh-huh.
on Pluto TV, and I'm always constantly just watching it
Yeah.
in the background for myself. That would be it. I love uh my before I discovered The Closer, my show was actually Criminal Minds.
Oh, so my
Love it.
sister loves that show,
Oh, man,
and you
love
know
it.
what? I don't know why, but I never watched that. I don't know how I
And you
missed it.
know why? Because
Why?
I have a deep, deep affection for serial killers. That's my that's my closet secret is I actually love serial killers, and that was actually my dissertation in college. Um,
Was it?
was the
Uh-uh.
study of female serial killers and how they are not labeled as such because they're women, and that
Wow.
it's a false misrepresentation that there are not as many female serial killers as male serial killers, and that's unfortunate because women
I
rock,
love
and if they kill as many people as men do, they should be labeled as serial killers, not
Yep.
as mentally deranged. But anyway, that's besides the point.
I did not know this about you, and I love this about you.
Let me tell you, in college, my senior year, every time friends came over and they saw stacks of books that was all on serial killers,
Yeah.
I always had to explain what was going because I do. I have a love and affection for serial killers and people who like to have hostages. I love hostage
Uh,
situations. I have like
yeah.
this like man, if I could be a hostage one day. Anyway, but yes, I do. I watch all those documentaries and things. Creeps me out, scares me to death, but I just love serial killers.
Yeah. Yeah.
You won't
Yeah.
catch me writing about a serial killer, but I
Right.
love them.
Right. Right.
But anyway, okay, we're getting off on a tangent. So thank you everyone for being
Yeah.
here and
Every
listening to us ramble for like
Yeah.
an
You know what?
hour and
Just
15.
scroll through. Did you see if anyone had questions or anything? Oh, I
I
feel
saw comments, but
it's because I don't have my glasses on. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so
oh,
old.
Christina Moore, I love the new Matlock. I watch it. It actually premiered.
Oh
It came
yeah.
back last night. I have to watch it.
Yeah.
It's one of those shows that I watch after the fact because there's a lot of shows I watch that my wife doesn't like. So,
Huh?
I will just watch it on my own when I'm in my office. I will watch those shows. But I do plan on catching up on last night's episode of.
Did anyone have any questions? I didn't know if we needed to answer any questions
How
or
far back can I
Mhm.
scroll all the way back? I guess
Yeah.
so.
I don't know. I don't know if I could or not actually.
I don't know if it's showing
Oh,
me everything or just showing me
yeah, I
a
don't know.
short snippet.
Can't tell. Yeah, I can't tell.
Yeah, if anyone's got any questions, we should start off with that and be like, put it in the chat and we'll look at it
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, well,
Okay, so
um,
everyone, I'm gonna be sending out. Maybe I'll make it a free thing because a lot of the times when like I said, I have a section that's called Murder Pen Society, and everything that I put under that is just automatically for paid only.
mhm.
But I might make this one free because it is going to literally have a 31-day breakdown of I have what's called the materials. Like
Uh-huh.
all like literally I have this book, I have this book, I have this audio book and links on where you can get
Wow.
access to it. So if
Yeah.
you wanna watch, any of the 4 adaptations, I have links on where you can either rent it and for how much
Mhm.
or where you can watch it for free. Because I think 1 or 2 are on Pluto TV, which is free. And then I
Mhm.
also have, tell you how you can use Libby to, get
Yeah.
the audiobook
Great.
depending on what library you have access to.
Yeah.
Luckily, I have access to the New York Public Library, not just my local library on Libby,
Mhm.
which is a much broader catalog and library because it's basically the New York City library. So,
Mhm.
I was able to instantly get everything that I need. I figured that out last week that even though I live in upstate New York, I can still access New York City stuff.
Yeah.
They allow me to do that. Um, so yeah, so I got a list of like every day which chapter I'll be reading,
Mhm.
just because it is going to be an intense one. So so I
Yeah.
will be putting that out. I was going to put it out on Sunday, March 1st, but I realized that I also put out in my monthly recap email, and I hate doing 2. So I will be releasing this whole setup, and if you want, you can link to it on a next
Yeah.
email.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's gonna be specifically for Murder on the Orient Express. I'm still working on it because I have to the breakdown is, like, intense, as you know, because I'm doing so much, and I wanna make sure that anyone who wants to follow along with my madness can do so.
Yeah.
And I still have to catch
I'm
up
one of those
because
people. I'm one of those
I
people.
haven't read all of my short stories, so I still
Mhm.
have 1.5 short stories to finish for
You're so
February,
ambitious. And where do you find the time to do all this?
at night.
I'm
I'm a night
impressed.
person.
Yeah.
So before I go to
Me
bed, I
too.
have a little night light by the
Me
table,
too.
and I'm voraciously reading, and one of the things that's happening is I'm falling asleep by 9, so I put on the audiobook, and then I wake up, and I'm 3 hours in, and I'm like, "I didn't listen to 3 hours of this audiobook, and I have to keep
Right.
scrubbing back
Right.
to where I fell asleep." So yeah, so that's I do most of it at night. Um,
Yeah.
so,
Me
alright,
too.
everybody,
Me too.
that's the best
Um,
time.
yes, oh my gosh, subscribe everybody. If you love murder mysteries, crime fiction, and mysteries and entertainment, and you want ideas of what to read, watch, or enjoy, then subscribe to Only Murders in the Inbox. And if you like fiction here on Substack or anywhere, subscribe to Top End Fiction. And then Ink After Dark and Murder Pin Society. Is that right?
Yeah,
What
it's a section within my
within?
Ink After Dark,
Okay.
so you can make sections in there, so I just made a
Uh,
section just so I could kind of put everything together
uh,
that has to do with my love of murder and suspense.
that's smart.
But yeah,
That's
so
really
just
smart.
subscribe to that, and if you become a paid subscriber, you'll just get access to my Murder Pen Society stuff. And if you're wondering why do I put that behind a paywall, the reason is because it's not technically fiction. It's me
Uh-huh.
talking about what I like.
Like,
So I do something weird with my Substack where if it's fiction, I want to give that for free. But if it's stuff that I have a passion for, like Star Trek or murder mystery stuff or
mm-hmm.
gamer stuff or anything
Mm-hmm.
like that, I immediately put it behind a paywall because if you want to know what makes me me,
Mm-hmm.
then you got to pay for that. If you want to know the inner workings of me, then
Oh,
yeah, I put that behind a paywall. But everything else I give away for free. All my fiction is free. Um,
nice.
and
Nice.
yeah, so
Love
we
it.
will be back in a month,
Yeah, we'll
4
be
weeks from now,
back.
exactly 4 weeks from now.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Take
Yep.
care.